Hi guys, in this video, we're going to talk about chapter 13, the cost of production. So for this chapter, we're going to need a lot of calculations, so make sure to get your calculator ready, okay? All right, so for the goal, well, the thing to remember for companies is that for any company you're going to have, the goal for any company is to maximize your profit. Now, there is a difference between your profit and your revenue. So revenue is how much money company collect from customers. Profit is how much money they keep once they pay out all the expenses. So one thing can think about profit, think about the revenue as how much cash in your register, and then profit is how much money you can take home at the end of the day. That's your profit. Okay, so the goal for a company is to maximize the profit, not to maximize the revenue. Now the difference is, let's suppose suppose I want to buy a Samsung Galaxy. Now, I don't know why I want to buy a Samsung Galaxy. I already have a better phone, the iPhone, but still, let's suppose I want to buy a Samsung Galaxy. Let's suppose the maximum price I want to pay for a Samsung Galaxy is only $10. Now, if you're a Samsung, you don't want to sell this phone to me for $10 because if you do, you will lose profit. Now, however, if you want to maximize your revenue, you will sell this phone to me for $10 because if you don't have a $10 revenue. If you do, you have a $10 revenue. But because the cost for the phone is more than $10, so even though your revenue increased by $10, but your profit will go down by whatever the difference is. Okay, so the goal for any company is to maximize the profit, not to maximize the revenue. And then to find profit, we're going to use our total revenue, so how much money you're collecting from customers, minus our total cost, so how much our expenses are. And then total revenue is very simple. So just use your P times Q. So price times quantity, that's your total revenue. So for how many items we sell and how much each item is together, that's our total revenue. And then total cost is all the cost that's associated with production. That's our total cost. And then for total cost, also don't forget about opportunity cost. So opportunity cost is the cost of something you give up. And then later I'm going to talk about the difference between implicit cost and explicit cost. That's when the opportunity cost comes in. For everything we do, there is opportunity cost. Now we talked about this before in chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, right? So opportunity cost, let's suppose I'm Coca-Cola, okay? And then what is my opportunity cost of producing one bottle of Coca-Cola? Well, I mean, you have your actual cost, right? The cost of labor, the cost of raw material, the cost of plastic, but there's also an opportunity cost. Because if I'm producing this one more bottle of Coke, that means I cannot produce one more bottle of Sprite. So the give up opportunity, that is the opportunity cost of production. So for all the costs we have in the companies, we can group them as two categories. We can call them explicit cost and an implicit cost. So explicit cost is anything the company must pay money out. That is explicit cost. So when company buy raw material, when company hire labor, when company rent a location, those are all the explicit costs. Implicit cost is any cost that doesn't require money from the companies. So imagine that if you have any opportunity cost, or if you have any time cost from the owner of the company, that'll be implicit cost. So total cost is your total explicit cost of how much we pay money out, plus our implicit cost, so our total opportunity cost. That is our total cost. One thing that you want to know about the implicit cost, even though it's part of the business, but the implicit cost is ignored by accountant. Because accountant only care about how much money coming in, how much money going out. They don't care about how much opportunity cost the company will have when they engage in the business. Okay, and the same thing with government. Government only cares about your accounting profit, not economic profit. And I will show you what that is. So economic profit is your total revenue minus total cost, which include your total explicit and implicit cost. Your accounting profit is your total revenue minus total explicit cost. So let's suppose this. Let's suppose that I'm going to quit my current job and then I'm going to run a business. Let's suppose for the entire year, let's suppose my current salary is $50,000 a year, And then if I open a business, let's say I open a, what should I do? What should I do, guys? I'm Chinese. What should I do? Chinese restaurant. Okay, so I'll open a Chinese restaurant. Let me get a spreadsheet going on so you can see all the numbers. All right, so my current salary is gonna be $50,000. Oh, my wife's calling me. She had to call me back now. So current salary is $50,000. That's for $50,000. I'll open a chicken fried rice business. So chicken fried rice. Now for the entire year, my quantity I can sell would be how much do we sell? Let's say 10,000, 100,000 units. Okay, and then each fried rice we can sell for $10. Okay, and then to find total revenue, we're gonna take our price for the good, $10 each, times quantity for the chicken fried rice, it's 100,000. So my total revenue will be with a $1 million. Now I do have expenses, so I'm gonna pay rent. Let's suppose for the entire year, my rent will be $200,000. Okay, I'm gonna pay for labor. Much for that's fine. Labor, let's suppose we're gonna pay $500,000 out for the entire year for labor. We're also gonna pay for our raw material. Another, how much raw material? 200,000 for raw material. And then I'm gonna pay for utility. So utility, let's put it for not that much. Let's do it $60,000 or $60,000 for utility. So that's your water, your gas, your electricity. Okay. Now let's see how much is this company's total cost. So total cost here. Well, let's be careful. Not total cost. Let's see how much is our explicit cost. Yeah, that sounds right. Explicit cost. So for explicit cost, it's anything you pay money out. So we're gonna pay for rent. We're gonna pay for labor. We're gonna pay for material. We're gonna pay for utility. So our total explicit cost is $96,000, and our implicit cost. Implicit cost is my opportunity cost. Now for this business, if I'm gonna run my business, that means I need to quit my current job, which means I will give up my current salary of $50,000. So that is my implicit cost. Your total cost is altogether. So take your 960,000 plus 50,000 implicit cost. That is my total cost of 1,010,000. Now let's look at what you have the difference between your accounting profit and then your economic profit. So accounting profit is the total revenue minus your total cost. So for your economic profit. So economic profit, we're gonna take our total revenue. So total revenue was $1 million minus my total cost. So which means my economic profit is minus, so negative $10,000. So for this business, I don't make money, I lose money. But for my accounting profit, that's going to be your total revenue minus your total explicit cost. For total revenue minus total explicit cost, that'll be $1 million minus my total explicit cost of $960,000. Then that's a $40,000 profit. So the difference is between your accounting profit and economic profit. Your accounting profit only considers your total explicit cost. Your economic profit considers both costs, both the implicit and explicit. Now let's think about it. Why would I have a negative economic profit here? So it's about your opportunities, right? So right now I can teach, which I'll make $50,000, or I can open a chicken fried rice business, which will make $40,000, which is better, right? Of course, teaching is better. Teaching make more money. That's not always the case, okay? But in this case, it is. So if I give up teaching and decide to go for this chicken fried rice business, even though I make $40,000 profit in cash, but I'm also giving up $50,000 in opportunity cost. So overall, combined together, I'm actually losing money by switching from teaching to this chicken fried rice business. Make sense? All right, so remember that. Okay, so your accounting profit is your only total revenue minus your total explicit cost, and then your economic profit is your total revenue minus your total cost, which is implicit plus explicit. We'll talk about this. All right, and then now what's a production function? So production function shows you the relationship between how much input you put into the company, so how much resource you have, to how much output or how much production we have from all this input. One easy way to think about this production function, think about just number of labors. So for all the number of labor we have, labor, that will be our input. So that's our resource, how much we put into the company. And then production, let's suppose we produce chicken fried rice, okay? So the more labor we hire, the more chicken fried rice we have. So that will be a production function. And then marginal product is the increase in output from an increase in additional input. Another way to put it is that if I hire one more worker, how many more chicken fried rice can I produce? That would be your marginal product. So let's suppose currently I have 10 workers, and then in a day I can produce 100 chicken fried rice. And then tomorrow I hire total 11 workers, so hire one more worker, and then my total production increase to 105 chicken fried rice. So this extra worker, this additional worker, can increase our production by 5, and that 5, that's your marginal product of additional labor. Okay, so just how much more production you have from each additional unit of input. So one more worker, one more machine, one more location, how many additional production you have from each additional input. Okay. Now let me show you this table over here. So guys, you might see something like this on your quiz and also on the test. That I might give you this table and ask you to find out how much is the marginal product of labor. So this table here, I mean this, what, give me my pen. So this stuff over here, you need to know how to find them, okay? So easy way to look at it, your marginal product of labor is just the difference between each level of total product of labor. So your output over here, when you have 0 workers, you have 0 output. When you have 1 worker, you have 50 output. So the difference between the 2 levels here is your marginal product. And then for next one, when you have 2 workers, you have 90 units. So that difference between the 2 levels, that 40, that's your marginal product. And then if you have hired 3 workers, you produce 120. And difference between these 2 levels, that is your marginal product. So the marginal product, it basically is the difference between each level of production with associated to different number of labors. So 1 worker, how many production you have, 2 worker, how much production you have, and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7. Okay. So just find the difference between each level output. That'll give you your marginal product labor. Now something called a diminishing margin return. The diminishing margin return, let me put it this way. So suppose, again, that we have a chicken fried rice business, and then I will hire you guys as my employees. Let's suppose currently I have a restaurant, and then we're gonna have 10 employees in the company. Now, if I hire 1 more worker, now this 1 more worker will produce more chicken fried rice for me because we can produce more stuff. But imagine we don't hire just 1 more worker. We're gonna hire additional 100 more workers. Then this room become very crowded. We cannot move anymore. Then we lose our efficiency. So how much extra production you get from each additional labor is going down, 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 down until it becomes 0 and might even get to negative. Now, when it becomes a negative, that means let's suppose right now I have 20 workers in the company, and then in a day you can produce 200 chicken fried rice, and then tomorrow I hire 1 more worker, so 21 people, and the room become very crowded. Nobody can move anymore, and then for the next day with 21 workers, I can only produce 190 chicken fried rice. So before with 20 people was 200, but now with 21 people become 190. So how much I produce actually goes down. That's called a negative marginal product. So for this marginal product, it just means not just labor, but for every input, every resource we have, the more resource you put into the company, holding other resource constant, your production, the efficiency will go down. And this is called the diminishing marginal product. And you can actually see that from here. Let me go back to the table here. See, on the first worker, our marginal product is 50, and then become 40, and then 30, and then 20, and then 10, and then 5. So how much your marginal product for each worker is going down as the more and more people you're hiring into the company. That's called a diminishing marginal product. All right, so next, let's talk about the total cost curve. So total cost curve, diminishing marginal product, it will happen after a certain level. But for most companies, your efficiency will be improving in the very beginning because you do have collaborations between different employees. So if you hire like a few workers, so 2, 3, 4, 5, if you hire one more worker, then you might improve efficiency. One thing to think about it, imagine I have a company that all we do is typing letters on the computer. So I have 10 employees, I have 10 workers. So if I hire one more worker, so let's say we have 11 employees and only 10 computers, would this improve our efficiency compared to before with only 10 workers? The answer is yes. So if you have 11 workers and 10 computers, your efficiency is better than when you have only 10 workers, 10 computers. The reason why that is because eventually, one of the workers need to pee, right? If you go pee, you cannot take your computer with you. So whenever somebody take a break, this extra person can come in and then keep the machine going, and that will improve our efficiency. So your total cost curve is a curve that's going up. So when it's going up, that means when you have this diminishing marginal return. So workers become less and less productive, and then your total cost curve. If you guys remember this from Algebra 2, this is called a concave up. So it's going upward, okay? So cost is increasing faster. And then also within total cost, we need to know 2 additional costs. This is different than implicit, explicit. Okay, so 2 additional costs. It's called a fixed cost and variable cost. So let's go back to my business of chicken fried rice. Keep it. So for this chicken fried rice, my cost are over here. This is the cost we have. Now let's suppose next month I decide to close down and then take a vacation. Okay, so I don't produce any chicken fried rice for next month. So if I don't produce any chicken fried rice for next month, do I need to pay for my utility anymore? Probably not, right? I'm gonna use my utility. Do I need to pay for any chicken or rice? I doubt it. I mean, we don't produce any chicken fried rice, but no one use it. Do I need to pay for my employees? Well, not if they're already workers. So last one, don't need to pay for my rent. This one is a yes, because my landlord doesn't care about how many chicken fried rice I produce. As long as my location, I had to pay for my rent. So rent here is called fixed cost, and then everybody else is called variable cost. So variable cost, it will vary, depends on how much you produce. Fixed cost doesn't change at all. So it doesn't matter how much you produce, you pay the same fixed cost. That's called fixed cost. So rent is a fixed cost. If you have salary employees who's going to pay fixed monthly, that's a fixed cost too. And then your hourly employee, your materials, your utility, those are variable costs. And I know what's the average fixed cost, average variable cost. So for average, just use each cost divided by quantity. That will give you the average fixed cost or average variable cost. So you're gonna see something like this on your quiz, on your test too. Okay, so I'll give you a table and ask you how to find each one. You know what, guys? I need to get my pen. Give me 1 second. Let me get my pen. All right, guys, I'm back. I get my pen from upstairs. So your total cost equals to your fixed cost plus variable cost. Oh, that's annoying. And then your average fixed cost. This is your fixed cost divided by quantity. Average variable cost is your variable cost divided by quantity. And then average total cost is your total cost divided by quantity. What is that? That's annoying. That's annoying. All right, marginal cost. Marginal cost is the change in your total cost. So 330 minus $3, that's your marginal cost. And the next one is 50 cents. So each level different total cost. That is your marginal cost. Okay. And then also one thing to know, when your production is 0, your variable cost is 0, and then whatever cost you have is your fixed cost. Okay. So it's your production, whatever cost you have, that is your fixed cost. Is well, we talked about this already. Oh, so for total cost, so your average total cost is your total cost over quantity. It also equals to your average fixed cost plus average variable cost. They mean the same thing. Okay, we give you the same number. And then here's the formula for marginal cost. Delta stands for change, so it's our change in total cost over change in quantity. Did I skip anything important? Not really. So that's not important too. Let me show you one point that you want to know. Okay. Well, that's not a good graph. Well, here we go. This is a good graph. So when you guys graph your ATC, your AVC, your AFC, and then your MC, the marginal cost, notice there's two intersections here. So wherever the marginal cost is intersecting with your average total cost, this point here, this is the minimum of your average total cost. And also wherever the marginal cost is intersecting with your average variable cost, so this intersection here, that is the minimum point of your average variable cost. Okay, so wherever the marginal cost intersecting with those two lines, the intersection, that's the lowest point for each one. But for the AFC, there is no significance of intersection. Okay. Let me see. Okay, so this is somewhat important, but you don't have to know the details behind it. You just need to know what is each section is called. So this red line over here, representing the long run average total cost for the company. Now, here are the differences. So let's suppose right now the company is operating with only a small factory. Then the average total cost might be pretty high. And then let's say next month or next year, company will expand and open with a bigger factory. Now, when the company expand, open with a bigger factory, many of the cost they can share with the smaller factory. So, for example, between the small and the medium factory, you only need one CEO, right? So at least when you're expanding, you can save the salary on the CEO. So you don't have to pay more for CEO now. But however, that if your company become too big, so too many company or too big a company, then you don't just need one CEO anymore. You might need like maybe additional manager for the company. So that way your cost will go up. So for companies in the beginning, when the company is expanding, your average total cost is decreasing. So this is called economy of scale. That means that means your company is getting more efficient in producing more stuff. And then if you guys ever heard that when many of the companies try to merge together, and then one argument they use for merger is called economy of scale. Because when two companies merge together, they can share costs in many areas. So one CEO, one content department, one CFO, and stuff like that. And then this part is called constant return to scale. That means for this part over here, doesn't matter how much you produce, your average total cost will be the same, so it's constant. But the last part here is called a diseconomy of scale. That means now when you produce more stuff, your average total cost will be increasing. So the more expensive it become. Okay. This. All right. So here are the other formulas we talk about in this class. So if you want to write it down in your notes, and then this will come handy on your quiz on your test. Okay. So guys, that's it for this chapter. Have any question? Let me know. Okay. Oh, make sure I have a calculator ready when you do homework on this chapter, because you will need a calculator. Okay, guys. See you later. Bye bye.